Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be learning about the third mixing method for quick breads, and that is the muffin or blending method. You can really call them either one. This method is very simple. Pretty much you have your dry ingredients in one bowl, your liquid ingredients in another bowl. You put the liquids into the well of the dry ingredients and you mix. But over mixing is very, very easy to do. This mixing method, as you probably can guess, is most commonly used with muffins. So if we do this mixing method correctly, we'll get a high quality muffin, and you can see some characteristics of a high quality muffin on the screen here. One of the biggest ones is looking at the top. The top should look really rough and bumpy for it to be a high quality muffin. It should be pretty symmetrical. Even though this looks rough and bumpy, it has a very nice symmetrical round top to it. Now, it's very easy to overmix when we do muffins with this mixing method, but you can also undermix it. So if you've undermixed your muffin, here's a few things that you might see. It might be very low volume, very flat top, okay, and it's going to be very, very coarse, very dense. If you overmix it, and this is what's more common, is you're going to possibly see a peaked top. So you can see in this muffin, it's really kind of peaky, almost like a little mountain. Very slick crust, so that typically just looks very smooth. And the best way to know that you have overmixed your muffin is if you get tunnels. And tunnels are these long little air bubbles right here, right here, right here, right here. That's caused by overmixing. So why don't I go ahead and show you how it's
So probably the easiest mixing method out there. You put all of your dry ingredients in a bowl, and then you have your liquids in a separate bowl. Mine don't have very many, so I just use a liquid measuring cup. So I've created a well. You've heard me use that term a couple of times now, and basically it's just a hole in the middle of my dry ingredients, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my liquids right in the middle of it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir just until my dry ingredients are mixed in. Okay, so if you would like to come closer, you can see as I mix this. So I'm just gonna gradually work my way and incorporate my dry ingredients in, making my motions bigger and bigger each time that I go. So in the PowerPoint, you guys heard me talk about an undermixed muffin in this mixing method, a correctly mixed and then an overmixed. So this right here, like this would clearly be undermixed because you still see lots of flour that's not incorporated. So just to show you how mixing affects this, I'm going to pull out a couple muffins here. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the undermixed batter and just pop it into my muffin tin. So I know it seems kind of silly, but you'll see when they're baked. Okay, that's good. So now I'm gonna mix it properly and to the correct. So that's when I'm really scraping the sides and there's really no dry ingredients left, okay? But it still looks kind of chunky. That is okay for this mixing method. So I'm gonna pause it here and I'm gonna take out a couple more muffins. So when you fill up muffin tins, you want to fill them about 3/4 of the way. If you do it all the way to the top of the muffin tin or the muffin liner, then it will overflow. So you can see the difference here just in the texture already. Obviously my ingredients are incorporated in. So then we tend to overmix muffins. Overmixed muffins have a peaked top like a mountain. And they also have tunnels in them. Tunnels is when you open up the muffin and it almost looks like a little worm crept through it. So it's a really big air tunnel. And that's when we do this. And we just mix the crap out of these muffins until it's very, very, very smooth. And remember, as I'm doing this, what I'm developing is that gluten in here too. And so my muffin will also be kind of more dense and tougher. So you can see that looks pretty smooth compared to our correctly mixed muffins. Oh, got a little bit of an arm workout there. All right, so you can see the differences here. Now, if I were to do add-ins like chocolate chips or blueberries, I would add them in at about this stage and then I would mix until this stage, okay? Never should I get to this stage. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then we will see how the undermixed, correctly mixed, and the overmixed turned out. See you in a bit. All right, so our muffins have come out of the oven, and this is the undermixed, the correctly mixed, and then the overmixed. And just look at the difference there. The only thing you guys saw us do differently is the length and time of what we mixed it. So when you undermix muffins, you don't develop that gluten enough, and it's a very compact muffin. The correctly mixed muffin, a couple of things we want to point out here. This rough, bumpy top, that's an example of a very high quality muffin. Now the overmixed muffin, I mean, just look at the difference between the undermixed and the overmixed. Like, that's crazy to me. Just by mixing a little bit more, look at how big of a difference this made, okay? Now, we didn't see any peaking, but you can kind of start to see how it was gonna start to peak, and then it kind of drooped in the middle here. But look at how smooth it is, okay? That is a sign of a low quality muffin. Just a little extra mixing, and look at the nice rough bumpy texture to this smooth texture. Now we have cut the muffins open, and you can see kind of the differences on the inside. So you can look at a couple of things here. Number one, the volume of each of the muffins, okay? But also looking at the crumb inside as well. This is very dense, very compact. Okay, it should look like this. And in this one, you can actually see a really long tunnel running that way. Hopefully you guys can see that. So that is why it's really, really important to correctly mix when you're using the muffin and or blending mixing method. Remember, it can be used interchangeably.